Pregame.com.
Michigan State at Northwestern, Big Ten showdown. Michigan State opened a 7-point road favorite, total 51.5. Total still the same, sign still the same, but we're seeing some money come in on the home dog. I'm seeing 7 even money. I've even seen some 6.5s at the sharper shops. This one's my bet, and I agree with that early money. I like Northwestern in this spot. This is one of those spots where you can be sure Michigan State isn't too motivated. Here's a team, they found themselves down 17-7 last year at the half, came back, won the game, So it's not like they have any kind of revenge. But more importantly, they've already wrapped up the Legends division. I mean, they know they're playing in the Big Ten championship. Now it's just a matter, do we prepare for Penn State? Do we prepare for Wisconsin? Let them figure it out. But this team knows what's at stake, what's ahead of them. And more importantly, if you look in the last few weeks, they've played teams like Minnesota, Indiana. They haven't had a real serious game, a reason to get up and play. And I don't think this is going to be enough to get them to show up. I think if anything, their wake-up call is going to come in that Big Ten championship game. And when you break it down a little further, Northwestern's coming in on great form. I mean, they've won some ball games of late. I mean, maybe not against stellar competition, but they beat Indiana. They beat Nebraska on the road. Impressive. They beat Rice. They beat Minnesota. So, I mean, they're not as bad as you would think of previous Northwestern teams, always being in the cellar in the Big Ten. They're 6-5. Here's a chance for them to finish above 500, to have a 7-win season. This is a winnable game for them. I mean, when you look, not only are they 4-0 their last 4 games, but this is a team that's got a winning record at home. You look at Michigan on the road, Michigan State, they're 2-2 on the road. Both their losses have come on the road. It's not a team I really want to be backing when they're on the road. I definitely don't want to be backing them in the favorites role on the road. And I just think when you look at the home and road dichotomy, the difference for Michigan State, it's huge. Here's a team that scores 2 touchdowns less on the road than they do overall. They give up almost a touchdown more defensively on the road. So there's a big difference. It kind of reminds me of baseball, where you got to break it down into lefties and righties and home and road and platoon, And I think if you could do the same with football, you could find some edges and some weaknesses and some strengths. And to me, it looks like the biggest weakness for Michigan State is when they travel on the road. And here they are in a spot where they're not going to be motivated, which we touched on. They're playing a team that's in great form, and you're giving me a touchdown at home. I like Northwestern.
Yeah, I agree with you on this one. This reminds me of a game.
No pizza.
Yeah.
It's not going to cost me a pizza.
All right. Well, we haven't done the NFL yet. No.
You're right.
Yeah, this game was played last week. Not with the same team names, but the same situation when Clemson went to NC State.
Yeah.
That was a game where everybody came in, they bet the dog all week long, and if you're looking at your strict power rating numbers, you say, why is Clemson, who should be laying this amount, why are they laying this amount? Same thing with this one. For my pure power rating numbers, I had Michigan State 11.5.
That's what I was going to say. I made it double digits as well.
And I looked at it and I said, well, they have no motivation. And you take a look at the Michigan State defense, and you talked about the weaker teams they played as of late. They gave up 21, 24, 24, and 31 points before they played Indiana last week. They did well against Indiana.
Sure. Who
but
hasn't?
They haven't played real stellar offensive teams. Northwestern's got a better offense than any of those teams that they played. Maybe Nebraska. Nebraska's got a decent offense. But you're also looking at a team in Michigan State who has put up 55, 37, and 31 points the last 3 weeks. So you got a team that's peaking right there offensively. The defense has not played very well. And from a situation, the last 3 years when they played Northwestern, they win by 8, 10, and 17. Where's their motivation here?
Exactly.
All the motivation is on Northwestern, and something we haven't talked about, Northwestern needs this game to have a winning record on the season. So it's very similar, and it didn't pop in my head until you were starting to explain it. I says, You know, we saw this game last week.
Yeah.
It's just in a different conference. So I think Northwestern's the right way to go in this game, and we're not catching the 11.5 I would have liked to have had.
Yeah, exactly.
But the lines makers and the betting public have made the right adjustment. I don't think they made it to the correct number as of yet.
And it looks to me like the bookmakers are going to end up having to take a position on this game, because even though there's been some sharp money taken Northwestern, come game day, Michigan State, is going to be one of the heavier bet sides, especially if they're under that touchdown. If it's 6.5, they're going to be tied into the majority of teasers, and they're going to get a ton of straight action as well to start off the day. We also we got some good information from a Northwestern alumni, the Tuesday meeting gentleman who it was his birthday. He said, go over in this game. I agree. Do you?
Yeah, historically, it has been an over series as of late. And I just pointed out how their offense has done so well and the defense has struggled as of late. And Northwestern could put points up on anybody in a hurry. So I kind of like the over, too. I think he's right.
Dog and over. There you have it. My play officially, Northwestern, get the 7, sit back and wait. Once the public gets involved come Saturday, especially, we've mentioned it and we're going to mention it in every video, it's holiday weekend. An influx of recreational bettors will be entering the marketplace looking for action. Because of that, when public money outweighs wise guy money, it does have the power to make forced line moves. This is one of those games where even with the sharps grabbing the 7, books will not come off that key number, I don't think, come game day. So you'll be able to get 7, maybe even get some adjusted vig, buy the half a point, which is what I like to do when I get that even money and it costs me less to buy the hook. So hopefully you won't need it, but Northwestern it is. We'll be back. 2 NFL games, both best bets from each of us. Don't forget, pregamevideos.com, pregamevideos.com. All the videos up in one thread with our game notes.